What's cracking, guys? Omar Esop here with the main homie, Bart Kwan, at his gym, Barbell Brigade, okay? Come back here. Hi. He's a super smart guy. He's been making all kinds of progress when it comes to powerlifting. Recently, we've been training for like the last week, and honestly, from over a year ago, one, you put on a whole lot of muscle, we're gonna talk about that, but two, your form's looking much cleaner, right? It already was good, but it's looking really good, and recently, you hit a big PR when it came to the sumo deadlift, right?
Yes.
So I wanna talk about with you today, because I don't sumo pull, what you've done to increase your sumo deadlift, maybe different technique cues, and basically what has helped with this PR. So first go over what you used to lift, what you're currently lifting, and then let's go over the cues.
Okay. So when I first started deadlifting, I pulled conventional like most people, and no matter what I did, doing deficits, block pulls, or whatever, my hips would always shoot up. So every time I lifted, it would always look like this. Well, actually, no, that was pretty good.
That's pretty good. We need some weight on this.
No, but it always is like hips shoot up, and I end up stiff legging. So what I realized is that my lower back is pretty strong. And just for the fuck of it, one day, at that time when I was pulling, I actually squatted really wide.
Right.
So someone recommended to me, like, why don't you just try sumo?
It's more similar, right?
Yeah, similar. So I was like, okay, cool. So the first time I sumoed, I just did a very like general stance, which is line up my shins with the rings, had my feet at about like 35, 40 degrees.
Sure.
And I pulled, and it was effortless.
Right. Felt way better.
Yeah, and I immediately, the first time I ever pulled sumo, I hit 455 for 8, which at that time was my conventional PR.
And you've been doing that all along, right?
All along.
Yeah, so you're like, come on, man.
So I was like, oh shit, I'm fucking made for this shit.
Right.
So I started pulling
Got the
sumo.
sandals for sure first.
Yeah.
We need the pants off after bar to get a visual demonstration.
But then like all other lifts, you start going online, you go, how does Dan Green pull? How does this guy pull?
Right.
And eventually I was like, you know what, I'm pulling it the wrong way.
Sure.
I started spreading my legs apart. I started turning my feet like way out here. And then I was like, oh, I gotta pull like these guys. Like,
of course. Like all the champions, like people that you see online. Right, okay.
Exactly. And then 455, from going really light and easy, became really, really hard.
Sure.
And I would have off days where like sometimes 545 would fly up, and then sometimes 455 or 405 would even break the floor.
Sure.
So I got really frustrated, and it was getting close to worlds, and I was like, I need to have something that is very consistent for me that I can rely on.
Right.
Which is conventional. No matter what, no matter how tired I am, I was always able to pull 545, even if I grinded it.
Right.
So I was like, if it's time to compete, I better go with what's gonna work and what's reliable.
Yeah, what's comfortable. Okay.
Then fast forward, probably like 2 or 3 weeks ago, randomly just on a deadlift session, I decided to try sumo again, and once again I had the same approach. What's comfortable? Right here.
What feels good, right?
And I pulled, and the weight flew up, and then I was like, all right, I'm gonna add more weight, and immediately I was able to hit 495 for 3, which is way better than what my 495 for 3 conventional looked like.
Sure, yeah.
And then I think everything just clicked. I was like, you know what? I wasn't using my body's leverages and the morphology of myself, and I was trying to copy other people.
So Bart, one of the mistakes, I guess, was trying to follow online what people were doing, and it didn't fit right with your body type, right?
Yeah.
So the difference was that you brought your stance in a little wider, from wider to closer,
yeah.
And then your feet, instead of being really rotated out and the external rotation going on, your feet are a little bit straighter.
Yeah.
Okay. What else did you do? Can you talk maybe about like your hip position, how that's changed? Because when, you said before on the conventional deadlift, that the big problem section would be the lockout, right? Hips would shoot up. We saw your sumo deadlift, and one, your speed off the ground is really good, right? And your lockout is also solid. So talk us through maybe the hip position, how you set up for your sumo deadlift now.
So now when I set up for my sumo, I put shins as close to the bar as possible, because sumo, it's pretty much all about leverages, so you want to get your hips as close to the bar as possible. And then I have my feet roughly about like 40 to 45 degree angle.
Yeah.
And one thing that I really, really emphasize, because sumo is such a like glute dominant movement, is when I actually line up, I actually push the slack out of my shoes.
Sure.
So people say
you're pushing against bar? Like what do we mean?
Yeah, I'm pushing the side of my foot into the shoe, and that kind of helps me find the cue of my glutes to be able to spread the floor.
Sure, sure.
And I do the same thing here. So it's almost like you have x-ray vision, but this is pretty much what my feet are doing inside of my shoes.
Right.
Where it's like all the pressure is against the blade of the foot and also the heel.
Good, okay.
So now my glutes are completely activated. I make sure I take a deep breath, pull my lats down, engage my lats, and then I pretty much just spread the floor. I think the biggest mistake a lot of people make when they first make the change is they approach it sumo, they set up sumo, but then they end up pulling it pretty much conventional. And one of the things I always tell people, it's like, when you have your hips close to the bar, and as soon as you engage, and then you blast it off the floor, I almost feel like this motion is like using the same leverage as someone with a shovel and digging in dirt.
Right.
So you scoop it in, and then that's when you have enough leverage, and then you push it up, and that the weight will come off the floor.
Okay.
So with that being said, like conventional, you could be in like the ugliest position, you know, like either too close or too far away, but if you rip it really hard, you could grind it out.
Right, like you break the floor and then it's ugly grind out to the top.
But sumo, you can't do that.
Yeah, it's important to get a good position at the bottom, feel that tightness so you can explode from the bottom, right?
I think like with all the information that's online right now, it's easy to get caught up in this huge web of information. You don't know what to do. Like I think the way that I was able to reintroduce myself to sumo, the easiest way is just go to the bar and just try to lift it in that form.
Right.
And I think naturally just trust your body that it will find it. I mean, there's going to be little tweaks here and there.
Sure.
Where you're like, oh, you got to push your knees out a little bit more.
But if you set up in a bad position and it feels hella uncomfortable, then it's not going to help you out.
Yeah. Like I mean, even Ed Cohen, like he has this crazy narrow sumo position.
Yeah.
And
it's like a hybrid stance almost when he's pulling sumo.
But if it's comfortable for you, it's probably going to work for you.
Right. And if it works great, and as long as the form's good.
Yeah.
Bart, we got a 600-pound puller soon to come right here. Those were the tips. Make sure to check out Bart's channel. Link's gonna be in the description. If you like this damn video, make sure to like the video, and I'll be seeing all you rascals in that next video.